This is a demonstration that will show you how to construct a single layer double ruffle. So what that means is it's one layer of fabric that will have a ruffle along the top and a ruffle along the bottom, and then we'll attach that to another piece of fabric just to practice placing a ruffle onto something. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to identify the halfway point between some of our fabric pieces here. For the single layer double ruffle, try saying that 5 times fast, we need to have our 6" by 24 piece. So I'm just going to do a quick measure of these to make sure that I have the right ones, and that's 6 inches, and both of my long pieces are 24, so I know that that's a long one. And then I also need my 10" by 8" sample, and so that's my smaller one here, but just to do a quick check, 8 inches along the top, 10 inches along the side. Okay, so what I need to do first is we need to identify the center line of both of these ruffles. So just to give you like a little bit of information about ruffles, it's very close to a gather, except for it's something that you add on to a garment. It's really not part of the garment itself. So if we were going to add on a ruffle to I don't know, around a neckline or something, this would be a separate piece that we make as a ruffle by itself, and then we attach it into the neckline seam. Where with gathering, we were gathering up the waistline area to fit along the bodice. So gathers are done, we will do gathering to create a ruffle, but a ruffle is kind of a separate entity all by itself that is then applied to another piece of fabric or another section of a garment. So sometimes you'll find ruffles, especially in curtains. You'll find some ruffles along the top of curtains, or as like this double ruffle that we're doing here, you might find that along a curtain as well, maybe like running in the center to give some more dimension. So just be aware that there's different ruffle types that you can make. You can make straight ruffles, which is what we're going to be doing today, which is cut on the strip, cut as a strip of fabric, which is what we have. They're all rectangular in shape, or you can have circular ruffles, which is cut from a circle. There's more information about this in your construction packet that I would suggest that you read through, so that you understand the difference between a straight ruffle and a circle ruffle, and how they're cut, and what the final product of them is. So you know, on a straight ruffle, all we're doing is we're gathering things up in a straight line, where with a circular ruffle, we have a circle to start with, and we want to straighten that line out to create a lot of fullness around that outer edge. So I would suggest just, you know, kind of reading through that, because it also talks about the different fabric weights that will provide a more fuller and flowy ruffle. So just make sure that you look at that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start off with this single layer double ruffle, and again, we have both of these pieces of fabric here, and we need to identify the center line point on both of these fabrics. So I'm going to start with my longer piece here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it in half, fold it long ways, so that I am matching up the outer edges. And again, this piece is 6 inches wide, and so what I need to do is I'm identifying that center line for my center line along here. So this is 3 inches wide now on the front and back. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use my pencil or my tailor's chalk, and I'm just going to rub a rough line using my tailor's chalk right along this crease, so that when I open it up I can see this line here. And you should be able to use your tailor's chalk to see this line, depending on, I would say, how dark your fabric is. If you have some trouble, I think I have a pencil like this in my sewing kit. So if we don't have, if your tailor's chalk isn't showing up, I might be able to help you out with something that I have because I think I have blue tailor's chalk and white tailor's chalk and yellow tailor's chalk and everything. So I usually have a variety because you never know what type of fabric you're going to be working with. So you have chalk that shows up along that line. So again, I'm just kind of rubbing this center line in all up and down, and I have to come back and kind of finish in this direction with identifying that marking. Now I'm going to have you'll probably see that I have kind of a rough, some shadowing that's occurring, but that's okay because when I open this up I'm going to be able to see my sharp line that'll occur right along the edge. So I've just finished that up, and I'm just going to open it up so you can see that I can easily identify where that true fold line or edging is. And then I need to do the same thing for my 5 by 8 or my 10 by 8. And again, my 10 inches is the longer side, so I want to fold that so that my right sides are together. And I'm just going to again do this this rubbing technique to identify that center line. Or if you want, I think your rulers also you can identify, and you can use your ruler because this is your rulers are 18 inches long, so it's a little bit easier. But what I can do is, since I folded that, I can see where that fold line is, and I'm just going to run my ruler right along that fold line. Hopefully you guys can see this fairly decent. And I'm going to use my pin because it usually provides a little bit more of a fine tip drawing line. And I'm just going to run this pin right up and down the center line area here. Okay. And then I'm going to set my 10, my now 5 by 5, and or my did I do this right? I might have done this wrong. I needed to identify the center line halfway of the 10 by 8, and I actually did the 8 by 10, so I did this wrong. So what you want to do is you want to fold up so that you're splitting your sample 5 inches by 5 inches. So if you kind of have a double marking here as well, that's completely fine. We'll just need to make sure that we select the right side when we go to attach our ruffle that we're going to be making to the outside of our fabric here. So I'm just going to do a quick rub on this edge and then open it up and do that pin marking. Now if you use your tailor's chalk, this is not a big deal at all because it's going to come out. Now I'm using my pin, so that's not, but I was hoping that it would hopefully show up a little bit better for you guys on this video. I want to go over those black sections. It's kind of hard to see, but the black sections of my fabric, but it's all good. So I'm just going to set aside that 10 by 8, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then take my long pieces and go ahead and open that up again, and I need to apply an edge finish to the edges of this fabric here. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my rolled hem foot out of my foot case here. And so I know some of you had a rolled hem foot in your little box up near your, up in the corner in that little plastic case. So if you have a hem foot in there, you can use it on your machine, but if you don't have one, there's some that are up in the front. I just have to get them out of a case. So if you want to use a rolled hem here, feel free to. Otherwise you can do like a turn and stitch to go ahead and finish off this edge. And so what I did, since I'm going to use my rolled hem foot, is I clipped off that edge to help my fabric start to curve, and I'm just going to feed that through so that it can stitch properly. And then I'm just going to, and I have my my stitch length set to 2.5, and I'm just going to go ahead and gently glide this the edge of this fabric through that rolled hem, because I know that through my past experience is if I go too fast it doesn't roll as I want it to. So I'm trying to help it to roll over towards that through that rolled hem area on the foot, on the rolled hem foot, just so that I'm not going to hopefully have any major errors here. And it looks like it's not wanting to roll as nicely as I would like. Doing it. It might be more of like a turned and stitched. I think it's because I have a lot of these like ravels going on. Maybe it's not turning it under on the back side as I would like. But either way, like if it doesn't end up being as turned and stitched as what I would like, it's probably going to be more, if it's not going to be a rolled hem, hopefully it'll be at least a turned, it'll have the effect of a turned and stitched, which, it's not bad. I think it's just that since I have this kind of raveled edge here, it's not wanting to fold under as it normally would. But it looks like it's going to hold in place. Cross your fingers. Oh no. Get back in there, fabric. Alright, I think I'm going to need to stop. My fabric is not turning well here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to clip some of these edges. And I'm going to see if I can feed it through again. I think it's because some parts here are just a little ravelly. Let's see if I can get it to work. Alright. Might be able to jump back in there and kind of start right where I stopped. And hopefully this will work a little bit better. Yeah, I think this is working a little bit better. And I don't know why this every so often just wants to unturn. This is not really looking very good. I think I'm going to do a different type of edge finish on the other side. I'll just have to do a turned and stitched, which I was hoping I would be able to get this rolled hem foot to work, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I'm going to try to feed it through again and finish out this line. And then what I might do is I might come back afterwards and just fix it, because it's not looking all that. And I don't, for the life of me, know why I have such troubles with this. Okay, yep, screw it. I'm going to stop. It's not working. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and trim off this edge where I started, and it looked like it was going to be hopeful, but it's not. So I'm just going to trim this off real quick and then do it turned and stitched. So I'm going to run to the iron, and if you are having luck with your rolled hem, I'm very happy for you. I don't know what my deal is. I think I'm more like a, I don't know, maybe a hand rolled hem type of girl. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to trim up both of these sides here to be the same length. I ended up taking about almost a ½ inch off when I made that error. So if you have some errors, you know, just go ahead and shrink that up. But I want to make sure that my ruffle is the same on both sides. So, oh, I don't think that cut all the way as I was ripping that off. I'm just going to go back and trim that. Make sure that everything's even. Then I'm going to go over to the iron and just iron this flat because my edges are a little kind of curved up. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish both of these edges. So I'm going to do that off camera so that, I don't know, in case it takes me longer, I just have some more issues. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to finish off this hem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a turned and stitched type of method. So when we come back to the camera, make sure that you have both of these edges on the top and bottom edge finished with the turned and stitched type method.